episode.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Conversations with My Son. I'm super excited about this for two reasons. One is that it's the final episode of season two. Kian, can you believe we've done 10 episodes this season already?
And 20 in this whole and 20 for this whole thing for all of our podcasts.
Correct. And then, secondly, I'm excited because it's the first episode that you've created on your own. From the idea to the question generation to the thought process to everything. It's one episode where I've left everything to you, and this is completely your episode.
It's good to be back. Thank you, Puppy. It was really fun planning it.
You had a good time planning it.
Yeah.
I could see all the thoughts that you had and all the planning that went into it and you writing down. People can't see it, but he's got his little notebook there where he scribbled all his. Actually, he's not scribbled. He's neatly written down his questions and all of the topics that he wants to cover here. So he's structured it very nicely. So with that, Kian, welcome to the other episode, to
Yes.
another episode, and thank you for joining me again.
It's good to be back.
Yes. So
And-
now with that, sorry, go ahead.
But next episode, remember it's season 3.
And we have a big episode for the start of season 3, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Nice. All right. So Kian, since this is your episode and you have structured it, I'm going to hand it over to you to kick it off and tell us what your episode is about, how you thought about it.
Well, the episode is about Picabook. The company that we used to have. We used to that used to sell. They used to sell books to kids, and me and Trisha, me and Trisha got a book at the end.
Cool. So let's pause there for a second. So you said it's a company we started. I think people don't know about Picabook, but a few years ago, during COVID, we when I was out of work and Mama and I had a bit of an idea, we created Picabook Creations, which was this highly customized kids book company. We ran it for about a couple of years, and in many aspects, it became a family business because all of us were involved in it. I know Mama and me were running it, and we had a silent partner outside, and we hired people. But to some extent, you and Trisha got involved in some of the marketing for the books as well, right?
We did.
Cool. All right, Ian. So that's the introduction to Pick a Book. So you want to kick off with your questions and topics that you had to cover?
Yes. So, what made you start Picabook?
It's a good question. So I've always wanted to have a business of my own, and in many ways, in our family, both on my side as well as on Mama's side, we have entrepreneurial genes. My dad was an entrepreneur. Mama's dad is also an entrepreneur. They both set up their businesses. They ran their businesses, and so I always thought about it, and wanted to do something of my own. Even in business school, when Mama and I went to business school together, I would often talk to friends and classmates and colleagues about setting up a business of my own. And so, when the chance came in 2020 during COVID, we thought, why not give it a shot? I'm not doing much and there's time and we have a bit of money. So let's try and do something in the business world and create our own stuff. And that was why we created the business, why we did Pick a Book or a kids book business. Um, so when you were a kid, when you were born, since you've been born, you've gotten a lot of, customized kids book businesses. And over the years, these personalized, let's just call it quote unquote personalized books, were not really personalized. Because at some instance, I remember you during one of our story times telling me, but Papa, that's really not me in the story. That's not us. And then Mama had an idea.
I said it doesn't look like.
It doesn't look like me, correct? You did say that. And then Mama had an idea, and she said, "Well, why don't we create, one of our own, and try and see if we can customize these books?" And I'm sure if Kian can spot the difference, then some of the other kids will be able to as well. So we embarked on that path, and we created Picabook Creations along the way, and that's where the idea stemmed from. We wanted to create really personalized books where if you saw yourself, you basically, if you looked at the book, you basically saw yourself in it, because what we did was we had artists illustrate your pictures in the books.
Yeah, that was it. I think you explained it pretty clearly for me to understand and our listeners to
Oh,
understand.
thank you, Kian.
So my next question: was Picabook successful?
uh in financial sense, no, it wasn't successful because we didn't actually make any money out of it. In other senses, it was successful. We were able to build a business, we were able to recruit people, and we were able to create a product that ultimately went out to kids and customers around the world. We ship books all the way from the US to Australia. So we had customers everywhere across the globe. We did it to the Philippines, to India, to the Middle East, to many countries in Europe. We did books to all of these places, and in many ways, in that regard, it was successful. The people who got the books, and Kian, you're a kid as well, so you were one of our customers, but um, the kids who got the books actually enjoyed it, and they could relate to the books, right?
They could.
You could see yourself, and I think
At
that
least I think they could, because I could relate.
yeah, and you could see yourself and your family in the book, and that made it interesting and exciting, right? So we
Yeah.
got really good feedback from many of our readers, and I think in that regard it was very successful. But sadly, we didn't make any money out of it. So in the true business or finance sense, it wasn't that successful.
Wow. That's pretty successful though. It's only the finance that wasn't that successful.
Yeah, but Kian, in the business world, finance is important, and if you don't have money, or if a business is not making money, then unfortunately, that means it's not successful, and therefore we had to close Pick a Book down.
Well, this is one. This is one of my. This next question is a question that I don't think many kids would be asking. How many books did we sell?
In total, I think if I remember correctly, we sold almost uh, 35 or 40 books around the world. So again, like I said, we ship books to the US, to many countries in Europe, to the Middle East, to India, to the Philippines, and even as far as Australia. So we covered the world, and I think somewhere in the 35 to 40 book range is what we did.
Ooh, that's so cool. Well, my
So
next.
there are probably 40 or 50 happy kids around the world
Yes.
that have a pick a book somewhere in their on their bookshelf.
Yes. Uh, so a little bit of a question that I've always been wondering about since Pickable did this. Why did we shut it down?
The finance is key, and this is what I was saying. We didn't do a good enough job of marketing the business and promoting it, and so we weren't able to generate enough sales. 40 books was not a lot. In about a year and some, we sold about 40 books, which wasn't enough to keep the business alive. And if we had to do more of it, it meant we would have had to kept um, either get external investors to come in and put money in the business, or we would have had to um, put more of our own money, and it was a risk that we didn't want to take anymore. In some ways, if I look back now, and given how technology has changed and evolved, I think we could have done more with the business. We could have kept it going, and we could have made it cheaper. But that's always, later, and we can always look back and say if, then, but what. But at the time, it didn't make sense to continue at the business.
But one time when we were in India, I think you were talking to someone about Picabook, and I think we're gonna start it again.
I would like to, yes. If I get the chance again, I'd love to create the business all over again because I know what it took. I know what worked, and I know what didn't work. But I also know what kind of strategies we need to do and what we need to change if we want to make it successful. Like I said, also technology has changed and evolved since the last.
And those people that you were talking to were good at that technology
Correct,
thing.
and they were the kind that could help us make a better business out of Picabook. So yes, never say never. You learn from your mistakes, and I would say it's a chance for me to do that. But hey, look, I also did something else from the Picabook business, and I wrote a book about it. So if you're on Amazon and you look for me as an author, you can look for the book called What a Write: My Lessons from Creating Picabook, and you can buy your copy today and read all about how we created, started, built, and closed down Picabook. And for any budding entrepreneurs out there, it's a chance to learn more about what mistakes not to make when running a business.
Maybe if you want to, you could maybe start something like a podcast or this book or or pick a book of your own. But just mind you, don't really have the same names because it would be a little bit confusing if you searched it. I because maybe my either ours would come up or yours would come up, and if you did it, and maybe and and the person might get a little bit confused. Just to tell you.
Yeah, that's a good point. We could create a business with a completely different name altogether. The podcast, hey, this is going well, Kian. So I think we'll aim to promote it more. But I'm also relying on you telling all your friends that you're doing a podcast and to get them to listen to us and hear all the interesting stuff you have to tell us.
Okay, okay,
In
okay.
school, I think that's what you're going to do next, right? Tell all your friends you're now a podcast co-host that has hundreds of listeners around the world.
Okay, I'm gonna tell them, but the but I don't want to change the name. Pick-a-book was pretty good, and the sign was so cute. It had this little monster. I loved it.
He was called Picasaurus. That was the dinosaur we had for who was our mascot.
I love Picasaurus. He was so cute.
Awesome. Kian, so should I ask you a few questions about Picabook as well?
Yeah.
Okay, so I will ask you two or three. You obviously got a Picabook. You had a chance to read it, and you participated in a lot of the advertisements and stuff we did for Picabook. Did you enjoy reading your Picabook?
Of course I did. It was so good. It was actually the setting was actually in my favorite city ever, London.
I know that, and
And
and one of the stories was about going to a zoo, right? And I think that too was based in your favorite zoo.
that was Trisha's. And there was also this plain book that I helped with it, but there were so many options to choose from. But I just had to choose the London one. But there were so they were, but I knew I think I read the plain one before, and it was like it was so good. But the London one was the best from all of them because I had read I think I had seen and I had read all of them. um I knew what was in all of them because I had somehow or I got the chance to uh peep get look at it because we were making the books and things, and I helped with that. So I got to help give the words on the way and things like that.
So your favorite book was the
The
the London
London one, it
storybook.
was so good. But I helped give the words along the way as well sometimes. But Papa told me the story
Nice.
is of each one, so I knew which one. So I knew which one to choose, and it was the London one, of course, because there are also a few there. I think it talked about. I think and the London one was just great. But I definitely enjoyed Pick a Book.
Nice. So let me ask you. Um, since obviously when I ran Picabook, it didn't work out. But if you were to run Picabook and if you were to create Picabook as a business, what would you do differently?
I would probably actually maybe we could we maybe I would use the podcasts as something to help promote the Picabook. Actually, more people knew about the Picabook because these podcasts are extremely successful. So maybe if that would be successful, maybe then just more people would know about it and more people would buy it, and then you would get more. The finance part would be fixed.
Correct. So I think we would use podcasts and better marketing. I think that's what you mean with how you would run Picabook, right? Let me
Yes.
ask you, Kian, one last question. So, if you were to write, so we had three pick a book stories. You talked about it. There was a book about a trip to London, a zoo book, and my first airplane ride. I think those were the three pick a books we had out when we were running the business.
Yes.
But if you were to write the first pick a book, what would be the title and what would it be about?
Well, just going back to the first question for a second. All of those were examples why I enjoy pick a book. Because I talked to you how great they were. That I'm telling you why. Okay, just to tell you. But if I was to write the first book of pick a book, the title, oh, it would be it would be actually I'll need a little time to think, but it would it would be actually it wouldn't because the I'd make I the plane and the plane book, the London book and the zoo book would come later, but I think the the title would be about the title would be something would be about not a zoo, not the planes, but maybe actually some like about a specific animal itself.
An animal?
Yeah, like penguins.
Oh, that would be nice. So, like you visiting penguins or seeing penguins. I think your
No,
first.
wait. I've got it now. But I've got it now. It's definitely a journey around the world.
Ah, so about traveling, which is one of your favorite things to do. That would be amazing because it would talk about visiting different countries and things like that, right?
Journey around the world. Yes, that's it.
Nice. And I think, Kian, I don't know, but I actually thought you would say your first book or one of main titles you would build would be around football.
Oh yeah. Well, can I do two, please?
You could do two,
All right.
yes.
Yeah, those would be the two football, like football,
Nice.
football, mainly on the two superstars that are my idols, Mbappe and Messi. It would be about those two, repeating, different information about both of them.
I think your pick a book would be about you playing football with them.
Nah, not really.
Not really. I think since the pick a book was all about putting the child in the characters and making them live through it, I think the experience would be about you playing football with your favorite players.
And me taking the place of Neymar in PSG.
There you go. Okay, Kian, that's been an amazing episode. Thank you for creating it. I think I'm going to defer all future episodes and their creation to you because you're so good at it. But I'm excited for season three and what's to come, and all the episodes we have planned for there because I know you're going to have some very creative ideas for season three. Um, in the meantime, as usual, I'd like to turn it to you for a bit of advice, something you like to tell our listeners before we wrap up and before we sign off for the season.
Ooh. If something doesn't work, if you ever feel like it at any time again, because it might be like 2 years later, 3, 4, 5, 1 even, or a month after something's failed, if you want to, you can like retry it with something else helping it.
So you're saying don't worry about failure, just give it another shot and something or the other will work out. Something like that, right?
No, put no. It means like add something, add like this thing, add something that will support it and stop you going wrong from support the part from falling over like the finance, because I think that was you said it was because we didn't sell enough books. And we were getting that maybe that company would come and help us. That could be like a stabilizer that we didn't try before to help to help us
Keep the business
fix
going.
the mistake that we made last time.
That's great advice, Kian. Thank you. I think when we recreate Pick-a-Book again, we will take that advice on board and we'll build a stronger business next time around, right?
Yes, and also we might put out one more podcast about Picklebook and how it's going.
Awesome.
And
That would be great when it's actually successful and we've sold millions of books around the world, right?
if it gets there.
We will. Thank you, Kian. This has been amazing. And thank you again for creating this episode. Until season 3, I'll see you later.
Bye.